Wananchi wenzangu, wakati nilianza campaign towards zero domestic borrowing, kuna wananchi waliingia inbox na wakaanza kusema ati domestic borrowing ikiisha ati bank zitafungwa. Well, najua mlisema hivyo kwa sababu niliwaonyesha kwa statements of account. Nikawaonyesha kwamba banks za Kenya zote zina make their profit from doing business with the government, from selling loans to the government. Now, what I want you to understand is that the banks stand to benefit more kama hii domestic borrowing itaisha. Na utaelewa hivyo wakati utajua kwamba serikali wakati inachukua loan, huwa haichukui loan ikiwa na intention ya kukurudishia hizo pesa na profit. Na utajua hivyo wakati utarealize kwamba serikali ndio iko na control ya one, inflation, number two ndio iko in control of depreciation na appreciation ya currency, and number three, which is most important, serikali ndio iko na power ya kuprint pesa through the Central Bank of Kenya. Na niliwaambia vile serikali huwa inaomba pesa from the domestic market through government securities kama treasury bonds na treasury bills. Now, I want you to take an example that you are a bank. Na serikali imekuja kukuomba loan ya shilingi 100 at an exorbitant interest rate, hata ikuwe 20%. Kama hiyo bond inaenda for 10 years, then it means ukiwakopeshia shilingi 100, after 10 years, wanafaa kuwa wamekurudishia a total of 120, now that itazaa 20% interest. Now, what I want to ask you is this. From now, 10 years to come, hiyo 100 itakuwa na power ya kununua nini? Na inflation itakuwa ikisonga kiasi gani? Now, let's do a very fast calculation. Tunaweza sema every year inflation rate itakuwa 10%. Wewe umeuza loan kwa serikali yenye utagain 20% interest. Now, without much exaggeration on how you will get that profit, think about it that hiyo 20% ndio itakuwa distributed through to 10 years. By the time 10 years inaisha, utakuwa umerudishiwa 120 shillings. Both principal plus interest. Now let's talk about inflation. Inflation tumesema every year, inflation inafanyika 10%. So the first year, inflation ya 10%, hiyo shilingi 100 itakuwa worth 110 shillings next year. Next year but one, hii 110 yenye uko nayo ndo itapigwa na inflation ikuliwe by 10% again. So you add 10% to this 100. By the time unamaliza 10 years, inflation itakuwa imekula 100 yako mara ngapi? If you were to put that 100 shillings in a different investment, ungerealize kwamba hii 100 ingekuwa imezaana more than it will when you give loans to the government in form of long-term treasury bonds. If you think it is impossible to suffer from domestic borrowing as a bank, there is a popular bank in America, the second biggest bank, ilikuwa inaitwa Silicon Valley Bank. Najua nyinyi ni watu werevu na mnaweza fanya research. Go and research and you will realize that hiyo bank ilianguka in 36 hours. Makosa yenye walifanya ni kukopeshea serikali bila kujua kwamba serikali ndio iko in control of the interest rate, inflation, na ndio iko in control of printing money. Hakuna kitu kubwa hiyo serikali ilifanya. Walitumia tu central bank ya huko wakacheza na interest rate kidogo tu. In 36 hours hiyo bank ilikuwa imeanguka, kuisha kabisa, the second biggest bank in US. Now, I want you to imagine if today the government of Kenya wakes up and realizes that they are in control of the interest rate ya hizo bonds, and they are in control of inflation, and they are even in control of printing money. What would happen in Kenya? Now, all the banks in Kenya have fallen into the trap of lending money to the same government that regulates them. Kama kaishu kama ya Silicon Bank kanaweza fanyika tu Kenya, bank zote zinaweza anguka within 12 hours. Hata sijui kama 12 hours zinaweza isha. So that is why we are pushing for this agenda on 0% domestic borrowing. We are not fighting the bank. We are protecting you from a possible exploitation by the government. We are not fighting the government because we are giving them an opportunity to have an expanded tax base, because the money they are taking as loans, hizo pesa zitaenda kwa investment opportunities inside the economy, and that means kutakuwa na expanded investment. That means there will be more jobs, and that means the government will be able to collect more taxes. Hata usiposhika kitu ingine, shika hiyo. At the same time, the banks will be the biggest beneficiaries if this domestic borrowing was to stop, because there will be so many people who are in investment and who are earning and who will require the services of a bank, and you will be serving happy clients and not customers wenye wamekasirika kwa sababu ya exploitation by the banking system. So this is my urge to the banks, that you must wake up and do that which you are required to do, and that which you must do to protect yourself before the worst happens to you. Meanwhile, our campaign against domestic borrowing bado inaendelea na hatutasimama. Tutasimama wakati tutaona parliament wamepitisha bill that the government will no longer borrow from the domestic market. And we don't care how they will do it. We don't care whether the government will decide to stop it immediately or they will have a plan on how they are going to slow down on this domestic borrowing. There is a link to our WhatsApp group. Join the group and let us have a discussion on how we shall liberate this economy. Asante sana. God bless you.